A heavy silence fills the hospital room where a young man stares out the window at a world he can no longer walk in. Everything changes when his mother presents him with a state-of-the-art virtual reality headset for the game Middle-earth. He enters the digital world and finds himself standing before a mystical NPC in a void of swirling light. For the first time in years, Leha throws a high kick and laughs as he feels the weight of his own weight on his feet. He chooses to keep his real appearance and name, shocking the tutorial NPC with his lack of vanity. A suspicious tutorial NPC attempts to trick him into a crime, but Leha's military discipline keeps his fists steady. He runs through the streets until the pro runner's skill unlocks, proving his physical stats are already superior. At the training grounds, he swings a sword and accidentally shatters a straw dummy with a single, unassisted blow. When it comes time to pick a class, a primitive musket in the corner of the weapon rack catches his sniper's eye. He quickly realizes the weapon's mechanics are brutally realistic, requiring powder and a lead ball for every shot. The first shot he fires results in a massive cloud of smoke and a complete miss from point-blank range. Suddenly, a real-world interruption forces him out of the game before he can officially lock in his choice. He logs back in, only to find the system has finalized his class as the Musketeer, the lowest-ranked role in the game. Stuck with the choice, he accepts a basic quest to hunt white rabbits in the fields outside the city. He spots a target, breathes out slowly, and pulls the trigger with professional precision. The bullet ricochets off a nearby rock, and the rabbit simply stares at him with an insulting level of indifference. The rabbit charges with unnatural speed, delivering a kick that sends Leha tumbling backward. Realizing he can't reload in time, Leha is forced to run for his life from the aggressive woodland creature. He drops the useless lead balls and grips the barrel of the musket like a baseball bat. With a satisfying thwack, he smashes the rabbit into the ground, bypassing the shooting mechanics entirely. Other players watch in confusion as a long-range class starts bludgeoning monsters in brutal melee combat. Leha refuses to be defeated by the system and begins researching real-world ballistics to compensate for the game's flaws. He vows to make enough money in the game to pay for the surgery that could restore his real legs. Back in the game, he spends hours shooting at tree stumps to master the musket's erratic trajectory. Passers-by laugh at him, calling him a fool for playing a class that reloads slower than magic casts. Ignoring the jeers, he lands a precise shot on a rabbit's paw, testing the limit of his haggling skill in town later. He realizes that building relationships with NPCs is the key to unlocking hidden high-reward quests. A desperate tavern owner tasks him with gathering rare herbs in the dangerous territory of a boss rabbit. He heads out under the full moon, where the shadows of giant ears loom over the horizon. He encounters a group of players being slaughtered by Angus the Black, a terrifying giant black rabbit. Instead of fleeing, Leha takes a deep breath and dumps all his points into the dexterity stat. He waits for the perfect moment when the monster aligns with the retreating mages. The musket roars, and the lead ball travels through the air with a faint blue arcane trail. The bullet strikes Angus between the eyes, killing the legendary boss in a single impossible shot. Two top-ranked female mages watch in disbelief as a level 5 musketeer saves their lives. They offer him a place in their elite guild, but Leha calmly refuses, preferring to maintain his independence. He returns to the city as a hero among NPCs, earning rare titles and a 100% friendship rating with the town. A secret quest opens up. He must now travel to the capital and face the Sword Eagle to prove his worth. He packs his bags and prepares for the long trek, unaware that his viral video is already causing a storm on the forums. Far away in the capital, a shadowed figure watches the footage of Leha's shot and narrows their eyes in suspicion. The path to the capital is long and full of shadows, but the Arcane sniper has only just begun to fire. The path to the capital is long and full of shadows, but the Arcane sniper has only just begun to fire. Leha stares at the high-level quest scroll in his hands, realizing the Sword Eagle is his next target. He calculates the wind speed and humidity, treating the game world exactly like a real-life ballistics range. High above the peaks, a screech pierces the air as the Sword Eagle emerges from the clouds. The beast's wings flap with a metallic ring, sending razor-sharp feathers raining down like daggers. Leha dives behind a massive boulder just as the earth around him is shredded by the iron plumage. He checks his ammo count, knowing he only has one chance to land a shot on the boss's moving eye. He activates his Hawkeye skill, and the world slows down as his vision zooms toward the soaring predator. He waits for the precise moment when the eagle levels its flight for a second dive. The musket roars with a deafening blast, spitting fire and a thick cloud of white smoke. The lead ball finds its mark, piercing the eagle's brain and sending the giant creature spiraling down. level up notifications flood Leha's vision as he realizes he has achieved a world-first solo kill. News of the unknown Musketeer begins to spread like wildfire through the player forums. Ignoring the fame, Leha pushes further into the dangerous forest of Agony. A low, rumbling growl shakes the ground, and the air temperature begins to rise unnaturally. The Agony bear steps into the clearing, its massive body dripping with molten embers. Leha realizes his musket won't be enough to pierce the thick, fire-hardened hide of this beast. He remembers his special forces training, specifically how to use the environment to trap a superior force. He sprints through the undergrowth, leading the enraged bear toward a narrow canyon. The bear roars, a shockwave of heat that chars the nearby bark and forces Leha to jump. He reaches the trap, where he has hidden several barrels of unstable gunpowder. As the bear lunges, Leha fires a shot, not at the beast, but at the barrels at its feet. A massive explosion rocks the forest, burying the Agony bear under tons of falling stone. Silence returns to the forest, and Leha emerges from the dust, victorious and covered in soot. He finds a unique drop among the remains, the Agony bear cloak, which grants fire resistance. Now geared and leveled, he finally approaches the grand gates of the capital city. The city is a hub of world-class players, and Leha sticks out with his archaic firearm. He spots a recruitment board for the Three Musketeers Academy, a forgotten guild hall. Inside, he finds a grizzled NPC named Browless, who looks at him with genuine surprise. Browless tells him that the Musketeer class is only weak because players lack the heart of a soldier. Leha accepts a secret quest to prove his worth by hitting a target from a mile away. He takes a position on the highest wall of the capital, overlooking the training fields. He adjusts the sight of his musket, a skill he developed himself without the game's help. He slows his heartbeat, waiting for the gap between gusts of wind. The shot echoes through the city, and the target at the far end of the field shatters instantly. Browless witnesses the feat and offers Leha the title of Arcane Sniper Candidate. With his new title, Leha gains access to hidden skills that enhance his musket with magical energy. However, a messenger arrives with news that his friend is caught in a guild war trap. Leha realizes that the top guilds are hunting small players for easy XP and loot. He sets off toward the war zone, knowing his presence will change the battlefield forever. As he nears the valley, the sounds of magic and clashing steel grow louder. He finds a high vantage point overlooking the guild's massive front line. He spots the enemy guild leader, an arrogant knight sitting safely behind a wall of shields. Leha whispers a command, and his musket begins to gather swirling blue arcane mana. He fires, and the blue bullet streaks through the air like a falling star. The bullet pierces through 5 shields and strikes the knight's helmet, knocking him off his horse. Confusion erupts as the soldiers realize they are being hunted by a sniper they cannot see. From the darkness, a voice calls out to Leha, warning him that he is being watched. A dark figure with a long, thin rifle emerges, claiming to be the piercer of the Three Musketeers. The true battle for the legacy of the gun has only just begun. The air in the capital grew heavy as rumors of an impending guild war spread through the streets. Leha checked the mechanical components of his musket, ensuring the mana-infused springs were perfectly tensioned. A sudden message from his friend the blacksmith who had helped him flashed across his peripheral vision. The Iron Blood Guild had cornered the local merchant alliance in the desolate canyons to the west. Without a second thought, Leha strapped his weapon to his back and sprinted toward the city gates. He knew that a musketeer was never expected to tip the scales of a massive army conflict. However, he wasn't just any musketeer, he was a sniper who understood the physics of death better than anyone. Below him, the canyon erupted into a frenzy of magic spells and clashing steel. Leha activated his Hawkeye skill, turning his vision into a grid of calculated trajectories and wind speeds. He targeted the enemy guild's primary healers who were safely tucked behind the frontline tanks. A single thunderous crack echoed through the canyon as his first shot tore through the air. The enemy priest collapsed instantly, their protective barriers shattered by the sheer kinetic force of the lead. "Where did that come from?" the Iron Blood Guild leader roared, looking frantically toward the cliffs. Leha did not wait for a response, already chambering the next round with mechanical precision. He methodically picked off every high-value target, turning the tide of the war in minutes. From the shadows of the opposite ridge, a pair of cold, experienced eyes watched Leha's performance. This was Luger, the legendary mercenary known as the Piercer, and he did not appreciate competition. Luger raised his specialized rifle and fired a shot aimed directly at Leha's head. Leha felt a chill down his spine and threw himself to the side just as the bullet grazed his shoulder. A sniper duel? Leha whispered, his heart racing with a thrill he hadn't felt since his days in the military. He crawled to a new vantage point, knowing that staying in one place meant certain death. Luger's voice boomed across the canyon via a communication spell, mocking the weak class Leha had chosen. Leha ignored the taunts, focusing entirely on the sound of Luger's breathing and the clinking of his gear. Another red projectile hissed past, this time striking the barrel of Leha's gun and causing it to vibrate wildly. Leha stood up, intentionally exposing himself to lure Luger into a final decisive shot. Luger took the bait, centering his crosshairs on Leha's chest and pulling the trigger. At that exact microsecond, Leha used his blink movement skill to vanish from the trajectory. He reappeared 10 feet to the left, his musket already aligned with Luger's position. "Checkmate," he whispered, pulling the trigger with the rhythm of his own heartbeat. A massive blue mana bullet spiraled across the gap, cutting through Luger's defensive barrier like paper. Luger's rifle shattered into 1,000 pieces as the shot hit the weapon directly, disarming the mercenary. Stunned and defeated, the Piercer looked across the canyon with newfound respect for the weak class. With their star mercenary down and their healers gone, the Iron Blood Guild retreated in total disarray. Leha's friends rushed to him, celebrating the impossible victory of the lone Musketeer. He had not only saved his allies but also proved that skill and physics could overcome any game limitation. The system notified him of a new title, the Arcane Sniper, a legend that would now be told in every tavern. In the real world, the man in the hospital bed felt a ghost of a sensation in his legs for the first time. Middle-earth was no longer just a game to him, it was a path to his own personal rebirth. He walked toward the horizon, no longer the crippled soldier, but the master of his own destiny. The journey of the Arcane Sniper had reached its peak, and the world of Middle-earth would never forget his name.